After taking 3 steps, he suddenly stopped and said, "Be careful, Xinhao Sec's hierarch already hates you. He sent Xinhao Sec's #1 genius, Huang Ming, to deal with you." With that, he turned into a wisp of white smoke and disappeared into thin air. Jiang Shui, Xiao Jinghong, and the others walked up to Zhou Xuanji. "Master, Huang Ming is not simple." Back then, when he fought with Zhou Yalong, he was able to severely injure Zhou Yalong despite being ambushed. His strength is truly terrifying. Wei Xuantian can find us. Should we go somewhere else? Emperor Yan of Zhou wants to nurture you to be the Emperor of Great Zhou? Are you still refusing? Master, could it be a trap? He purposely tricked you into going to the Great Zhou Imperial City. Everyone surrounded Zhou Xuanji and continuously asked him questions, which gave Zhou Xuanji a headache. He stared at the group and said unpleasantly, "All of you, go and cultivate. I will make arrangements for everything." Xiao Jinghong, Zhao Congjian, Beishao Wangjian, Han Shenbua, Huang Lianxin, and the little black snake were terrified immediately. They left quickly and dared not to stay any longer. Jiang Shui sat beside Zhou Xuanji. She did not ask anything but hugged his right arm quietly. "Seems like we should move." Zhou Xuanji mumbled to himself. Since Wei Xuantian could find him, there was a risk of him being exposed. The next plan was to recuperate and focus on cultivation, before waiting for the Empress to come to Merciful Melody Cliff. Jiang Shui leaned on his shoulder and smiled. "Actually, I quite like to travel the world with you and see everything in this world." Zhou Xuanji glanced at her and teased, "Yo, little girl, you have grown up." Jiang Shui heard him and sat up straight immediately. She pinched his waist and smiled dangerously. Time passed quickly. 6 days passed. Zhou Xuanji and the others set off immediately. Their destination was Juema Wasteland. Juema Wasteland did not belong to Great Zhou's territory. It was extremely chaotic. There were people from various empires, and there were even some powerful demons. If the Empress wanted to go to Merciful Melody Cliff, she had to pass through Juema Wasteland. Juema Wasteland was huge, even bigger than an empire. The group walked slowly, as though they were on a scenic tour. Along the way, Xiao Jinghong was in charge of teaching Zhao Congjian. Zhao Congjian was in charge of teaching Beishao Wangjian, and Beishao Wangjian was in charge of teaching Pope Lianxin. Of course, their teaching times were different. Zhou Xuanji would give some pointers occasionally, but most of the time, he was training with his sword. Han Shenbua's seal had been removed, but it would take some time for him to fully recover his cultivation. The little black snake, a big and small heir's power were also increasing steadily. For demons, other than cultivation, there was another way to grow stronger quickly, which was to eat other demons. The 3 of them had already started eating. Although Zhou Xuanji disliked them, he did not stop them. It was their nature after all. "Little black, follow it. If anything happens to it, you can just wait to die." Zhou Xuanji took out the 3-eyed drought rodent and instructed the little black snake. As its cultivation grew, the little black snake's body shrunk to half a meter. What a wonder! The little black snake heard him and opened its eyes wide. "If it dies while walking, will you blame it on me?" it asked. Zhou Xuanji said expressionlessly, "If it dies, you die. If it lives, you live. If it has meat to eat, you have meat to eat too. In the future, both of you will coexist." The little black snake shuddered in fear and said with a trembling voice, "I didn't cause any trouble recently." Zhou Xuanji walked past it and snorted, "I'm not in a good mood." The little black snake opened its eyes wide. What kind of reason was that? The others heard him and burst into laughter. And so, the little black snake escorted the 3-eyed drought rodent and began their treasure hunt. The journey was long, and it was good to find some treasures. After the battle at the Sword Monarch's pinnacle, Zhou Xuanji realized how important it was to have a powerful physique. He decided to cultivate the Sword Qi Golden Body incantation, which required the accumulation of many precious materials. And so, time passed quickly. 8 months passed quickly. Zhou Xuanji's cultivation broke through to inner pellet level 7 consecutively, and the Sword Chi Golden Body incantation was still trying to reach level 4, Invincible Vajra. This day, they finally came to the border of Jianghu wasteland. Standing on a hill and looking ahead, the wasteland was covered in sand and wind. There was no end in sight. Other than the mountains behind them, they could only see mountains in front of them. Xiao Jinghong sighed in amazement, we are finally out. Speaking of which, this is my first time leaving Great Zhou's territory. The others were a little excited too. The Great Zhou Empire was huge, but it was very small compared to the northern wilderness region. Swoosh! At this moment, a flying dagger shot toward them with extreme speed. In an instant, it flew over 10,000 meters toward Zhou Xuanji and the others. Chapter 120. Zhou Xuanji swung his right hand and slashed with the sky-sundering emperor sword, accurately deflecting the flying dagger. Clang! Xiao Jinghong drew his sword and walked to the front. Zhao Zongjian automatically retreated to the back of the group. This was something they had rehearsed before, to prevent the enemy from ambushing them from behind. Zhou Xuanji looked over with narrowed eyes and saw a figure walking over from the horizon. He was wearing a bamboo hat and black clothes, making it impossible to distinguish his true appearance. May I know who you are? Xiao Jinghong asked loudly. Immediately, Zhou Xuanji kicked his butt, which made him stumble and almost fall. He turned around angrily, ready to question who it was. Zhou Xuanji looked at him coldly and said, he already attacked, and you're still asking who he is? Kill them all. Xiao Jinghong blushed with shame and immediately charged forward with his sword. Everyone continued to move forward at the same speed. Xiao Jinghong quickly started fighting with the black-clothed man. The black-clothed man held 2 flying daggers in each of his hands. His figure was like a ghost as he fought Xiao Jinghong to a standstill. This person is also a nascent soul cultivator? Northern Sword Valiant exclaimed. Feeling the strong pressure, his scalp went numb. The little black snake laid on the waiter's head and said weakly, outside of the Great Zhou, there are as many nascent soul cultivators as dogs? Half a month ago, when the 3-eyed drought rodent went out to look for treasures, it ate something bad, causing it to starve for half a month. Han Shenbua said, the Jianghu wasteland is extremely chaotic. Those who dare to hang around here are all very strong. Most of them are here to kill and rob. After all, he was a disciple of a sacred ground and had passed by the Jianghu wasteland before. With the tone of an experienced person, he said, our situation is very rare. As long as we are careful, we won't easily encounter a nascent soul cultivator. When Zhou Xuanji and the others approached, Xiao Jinghong had already decapitated the man. He searched the corpse for storage bags and storage rings. This person could be considered wealthy. He had quite a lot of pills and spirit stones. Everyone continued moving forward. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. 2 burly men charged toward them with giant hammers in their hands. They were also at the nascent soul realm. Xiao Jinghong fought against 2 enemies at the same time. He suffered some light injuries, but he still managed to kill the 2 enemies. Is this what you mean by rare? The little black snake glared at Han Shenbua and questioned. After that, he looked at Zhou Xuanji and said, Master, this brat spoke rudely. I suggest that you give all of his food to me. Han Shenbua was anxious. What they ate was not grains, but medicinal pills and cultivation ingredients. Zhou Xuanji was quite generous to them. Other than the enchanted artifacts and energy techniques, all of Han Shenbua's spirit stones and pills were taken by Zhou Xuanji. He was still waiting to recover his strength, so why was his food confiscated? Zhou Xuanji nodded and said, your food for half a month belongs to it. Han Shenbua wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Zhou Xuanji was too domineering. Zhou Xuanji ignored him and walked straight to Xiao Jinghong's side. Let's find a place to stop. Our target is to ambush the Empress of Great Zhou, not to cross Jianghu wasteland. Xiao Jinghong nodded, and then he leaped up and flew towards the horizon on his sword in search of a suitable place to stay. Jiang Shui walked over and asked mysteriously, Xuanji, do you feel that something is wrong? I always feel that something is staring at us. Zhou Xuanji looked around. Other than them, there was no trace of anyone else, nor were there any demons. His cultivation was higher than Jiang Shui's, but he did not feel anything wrong. Jiang Shui might have been too nervous. He shook his head and smiled, "Don't worry. There are so many of us. How can we run into ghosts?" Speaking of which, he had come to this mythical world for so long. He had seen astral infant, demons, but he had never seen a ghost. In the great Zhou Empire, it was rare to hear about ghosts. It was really strange. Big and small air were bored. They flapped their wings and circled in the sky, playing around. They flew extremely high. If one did not look up, one might miss them. After a while, Xiao Jinghong still had not returned. Suddenly, a convoy of 4 carriages came from the front. There were 10 soul fountain cultivators escorting the convoy. Zhou Xuanji and the others sat on the hill and did not hide. The convoy passed by them quickly. "Wait." At this moment, a cold voice came from one of the carriages, and the convoy stopped. The curtains of the carriage's window were pulled open, and a beautiful lady popped her head out. Her face was cold as she said, "None of you look like evil people, and your actions seem to be the first time you came to Jianghu wasteland. Let me give you a piece of advice. Return to Great Zhou quickly and don't come out for a while." "Why?" Jiang Shui asked curiously. "The Sword Emperor of Great Zhou came to Jianghu wasteland. Xinhao sect has sent out a wanted order, and the entire Jianghu wasteland is searching for the Sword Emperor. Xinhao sect's top genius, Huang Ming, who is as talented as Zhou Yalong, claimed to kill the Sword Emperor with his own hands." The beautiful lady replied. Her eyes were filled with passion and admiration. She paused and continued, "You should know who the Sword Emperor of Great Zhou is. You came from Great Zhou after all. With the Sword Emperor's temper, he will surely fight with Xinhao sect. By then, blood will flow in Jianghu wasteland like a river. You should stay away." After that, she retracted her head. The carriages continued to move forward toward Great Zhou's territory. The group's expression was strange. Huang Lianxin could not hold back her laughter. "Sword Emperor of Great Zhou? Isn't that Zhou Xuanji?" Ever since the battle at the Sword Monarch's pinnacle, Zhou Xuanji had a new nickname. The Sword Emperor of Great Zhou. Although the title of Sword God Zhou was domineering, it was given to him by himself. The Sword Emperor of Great Zhou was given to him by the people of Great Zhou. It was a completely different title. TSK. Seems like you have a lot of women who admire you," Jiang Shui said profoundly. The group heard her and burst out in laughter. Zhou Xuanji said proudly, "Of course. I'm handsome and powerful. Which woman would not like me? Shameless." Jiang Shui rolled her eyes at him. She turned around and picked up the little black snake, preparing to vent her anger on it. "Why is it me again?" the little black snake cried out in despair. Next, it was rolled into a ball and thrown onto the ground. Zhao Zongjian said with a frown, "Strange. How did Xinhao sect know that we would come to Jianghu wasteland?" Along the way, they did not sense anyone following them. Zhou Xuanji was thinking about this question too. He killed Ta Qishue, so Xinhao sect must be crazy to kill him. Han Shenbo said, "In this world, there are many people who are proficient in the art of divination. Even without seeing or hearing with their own eyes, they can still divine the whereabouts of others. Wei Swantian is one of them." When he said this, he was very careful and did not dare to act cool. So that's why. No wonder Wei Swantian knew where they were. Zhou Xuanji came to a realization. He looked at Han Shenbo with dissatisfaction. "Why didn't you say so earlier?" Sensing his gaze, Han Shenbo's body trembled. "I said something wrong again?" Another half an hour passed. Xiao Jinghong finally returned. After he landed, he said excitedly, "Revered teacher, guess what I found?" Chapter 121. Seeing that Xiao Jinghong was unusually excited, Zhou Xuanji could not help but be curious. He guessed, found a sword. Xiao Jinghong, known as the Sword Noble, loved swords. Other than swords, he loved nothing else. He even wanted to turn himself into a sword. Xiao Jinghong smiled mysteriously, no. Follow me. After that, he turned around and left in a hurry. Did this guy see a woman bathing? Why is he in such a hurry? Is he afraid of missing something good? The little black snake, whose face was covered in dust, mumbled. Zhou Xuanji whistled, and a big and small air swooped down. The group followed Xiao Jinghong and were curious about what he found. They traveled for hundreds of miles. They came to a place where there were many hills. Looking ahead, the hills were undulating like waves, and there was no end in sight. Zhou Xuanji noticed that there were many red ants crawling on the ground. Some of them were almost as big as his pinky finger. His heart stirred as he inexplicably thought of something. Zhao Zongjian walked at the back. He scanned the surroundings and said, "Could this be the land of the ants? Everyone, be careful. An ant colony that can survive in Jianghu wasteland is definitely not simple." The others nodded. People often used ants to describe the weak. In fact, an elephant could be eaten by too many ants. Xiao Jinghong walked in front and was already a dozen meters away from the group. After entering deep into the hills, they were still moving forward. Finally, they stopped in front of an inconspicuous hill. The three-eyed drought rodent in Zhou Xuanji's arm sprang out suddenly. It jumped onto the hill and began digging. Soon, it sank into the soil. The hill was 6 meters tall. The soil on it was mostly sand and rocks, and there were few weeds. Xiao Jinghong pointed at the hill and said, "I found some rare treasures with my mind. They can be used to forge legendary swords." It was related to swords indeed. Zhou Xuanji curled his lip and was not interested. He had the supreme legendary sword system, so he did not care much about the materials used to forge swords. But Zhao Zongjian and the rest were very interested. Zhou Xuanji sat down on the hill beside him and instructed, "Little Black, look after me. If an ant crawls on me, I will throw you into the ant nest." The little black snake heard him and shuddered. Just thinking about the feeling of being bitten by tens of thousands of ants made it shiver. It immediately came to Zhou Xuanji's side and looked around vigilantly. Jiang Shui and Han Shenbua sat on either side of Zhou Xuanji. After the three-eyed drought rodent went down, Xiao Jinghong, Zhao Zongjian, and Beixiao Wangjian started to dig the soil, preparing to go underground. "Xuanji, do you really not feel like you're being watched?" Jiang Shui suddenly pulled the corner of Zhou Xuanji's shirt and asked anxiously. Zhou Xuanji rolled his eyes at her and said, "Don't be so suspicious, we have so many people." Han Shenbua sat and said with a smile, "Although there are many strange things in the Jianghu wasteland, as long as we are careful." Before he could finish his sentence, he stopped. Zhou Xuanji and Jiang Shui looked at him instinctively. His face was filled with fear, and his body was trembling slightly. Following his gaze, Zhou Xuanji did not see anyone, only mountains. Zhou Xuanji slapped the back of his head and cursed, "You dare to scare me?" Jiang Shui hugged Zhou Xuanji's arm tightly. She had goosebumps all over her body. Han Shenbua stuttered, "Don't you see? There are 2 little girls who had their stomachs sliced. Their eyes are bleeding, and they are looking at us." Zhou Xuanji looked over again. "Where?" The little black snake cursed, "You dare to say such things in broad daylight. Master, give me his food for the next 2 months, if..." Its voice stopped abruptly. Its entire body straightened, and its eyes opened wide. Zhou Xuanji looked over, but there was no one around. He was furious. He took out the chicken-slaying sword and said, "Little Black, you dare to scare me?" The little black snake said with a trembling voice, "No. So many ghosts. They are coming toward us, and they are everywhere." A big and small air growled uneasily. Zhou Xuanji realized that something was wrong. These 2 cowards did not dare to lie to him. Moreover, Jiang Shui said that someone was watching her. Could there really be ghosts? Zhou Xuanji immediately took out the ghost curse sword and cursed, I believe in science. After that, he slashed with his sword. A wave of ghostly cries and wolf howls resounded, and the sword chi swept out in all directions. Ah, a shrill cry came, which sent chills down Zhou Xuanji's spine. He could not see ghosts, which made the situation even more horrifying. A group of ghosts in broad daylight? Master, stop. At this moment, Huang Lianxin, who had been silent all this while, suddenly screamed. She quickly leaped in front of Zhou Xuanji to stop him from swinging his sword. Zhou Xuanji frowned and looked at her warily. Could it be that this lass was possessed by a ghost? They are my clansmen, Huang Lianxin sobbed with tears in her eyes. Clansmen? Zhou Xuanji was stunned. Jiang Shui and Han Shenbo were confused too. Huang Lianxin wiped her tears and said, the city we are in is at the border of Great Zhou. Next to it is a kingdom. Strictly speaking, it does not belong to Great Zhou. It is isolated from the world, and everyone in the city belongs to one clan. Because of this, after Zhou Yalong massacred the entire city, there was no commotion at all. Zhou Xuanji frowned and asked, is your ghost city nearby? Huang Lianxin shook her head and said, it's on the other side of Great Zhou. It's far from here. If so, why would the ghosts of Huang Lianxin's clansmen appear here? They stopped. The little black snake cried out in surprise. It seems like these ghosts are my clansmen. I did not expect to meet my descendant here. At this moment, a cold voice came, as though it came from the depths of hell. A gust of cold wind blew. Zhou Xuanji and the others turned around and saw a man in a blood-red robe standing in the air. He was tall and had white hair. His face was cold, and his eyes were purplish red. He wore a silver crown with beads and a pair of wings made from demonic qi. The wingspan was 30 meters. Who are you? Han Shenbo asked with a deep voice. Zhou Xuanji looked a little solemn. He felt that this person was more powerful than Xiahou Gongji. Although he was not as powerful as the Sword Monarch, he was still powerful. Could it be, I am Huang Ming from Xinhao sect? The man in a blood-red robe said indifferently. A scythe appeared in his right hand. The scythe was blood-red and was surrounded by strands of black wind. Its murderous aura soared into the sky. The top genius of Xinhao sect, Huang Ming. Everyone's expression changed and prepared for battle. Huang Ming looked at Huang Lianxin and said, do you know why Zhou Yalong massacred your clansmen? Because you are my descendant. He was severely injured by me, so he took revenge. Having heard that, Huang Lianxin's pupils contracted. Her body trembled and she could not believe her ears. She was the descendant of a powerhouse from an evil sect? Zhou Xuanji, Jiang Shui, Han Shenbo, and the little black snake were all stunned. They did not expect Huang Lianxin to have such a background. Hold on. Huang Lianxin had the talent to see through all things. She could not be an ordinary person. Chapter 122. We were blocked by this guy the moment we came out. We're so unlucky. The little black snake sighed, but he did not panic. He looked at Zhou Xuanji and said, take out the God Emperor sword and slay him. I have faith in you. Piak, Zhou Xuanji slashed back with the ghost curse sword's cross-section, which sent the snake flying away as though he was hitting it with a ruler. Impudent. Zhou Xuanji mumbled to himself while staring at Huang Ming. Huang Ming was not as powerful as the Sword Monarch, so he was not afraid. But when he thought about how he was going to become a cripple again, he felt a pain in the ass. At this moment, Huang Ming stared at Huang Lianxin and said, you have the Ghost Emperor divine eyes. Come back. I will nurture you to be the new chief of the Ghost Emperor tribe. Ghost Emperor divine eyes. Huang Lianxin's body trembled and instinctively touched her eyes. Jiang Shui immediately hugged her arm and said, Sister Lianxin, didn't you say that you will always be with us? The little black snake crawled over and said, you really know how to boast. Your Ghost Emperor tribe is gone, and only the two of you are left. She will be the chief, and you will be her ancestor. Huang Ming glanced at him with a murderous intent, which frightened him and quickly hid beside Zhou Xuanji. Boom! Boom! Two silhouettes burst out from the ground and landed in front of Zhou Xuanji. It was Xiao Jinghong and Zhao Zongjian. They sensed the shocking murderous aura on the ground and immediately came out to help. So powerful, Zhao Zongjian squinted his eyes and mumbled. Huang Lianxin took a deep breath and patted the back of Jiang Shue's hand. She smiled and said, "Of course. I promise to follow you for life, so I won't go back on my word. Without you, I'm afraid I would have died in the Shady Mountain stronghold." Having heard her, Huang Ming frowned. He raised his scythe, and demonic qi surged. Billowing thunderclouds gathered around him. Numerous ghostly shadows appeared. They levitated with their feet off the ground, maintaining the image they had before they died. Each of them looked horrifying. At a glance, there were at least tens of thousands of them. These vengeful ghosts surrounded them tightly as though they would pounce on them any time. "You are Xinhao Pontiff Ming?" Xiao Jinghong asked. "How did you find us?" Could it really be as Han Shenhua had said, that it had been deduced? Huang Ming ignored him and stared at Huang Lianxin. "If you don't repent, I will take away your Ghost Emperor Divine Eye." Dazzling. Huang Lianxin did not panic. She held Jiang Shui and walked to Zhou Xuanji's side. She looked back at Huang Ming and said, "Perhaps you really are my ancestor, but I have a master now, and he is stronger than you." With these words, Zhou Xuanji felt good and straightened his back. Huang Ming squinted his eyes and swung his scythe at Zhou Xuanji and the others. The demonic aura turned into countless sharp arrows and poured down like a torrential rain. Zhou Xuanji directly took out the God Emperor's sword and created the God Emperor. He slashed out, and the black arrow instantly dissipated. Huang Ming's eyes widened as an invisible sword qi rushed towards him, causing him to dodge immediately. Zhou Xuanji's expression changed slightly. He instinctively looked at his God Emperor sword. His right hand trembled slightly, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. What's going on? Why did the backlash come so quickly? Zhou Xuanji was shocked in his heart. His injuries were already healed. The Ghost Emperor Qi from the previous time is still lingering in your body. It has yet to dissipate completely. It needs time. The sword spirit reminded, which made Zhou Xuanji frown. He felt that he would be crippled after 8 slashes. In the air. Huang Ming's face was hideous. Sword God Zhou, just you wait. Although I don't know why you came to Jianghu Wasteland, Xinhao sect will not let you step out of Jianghu Wasteland. After that, he turned into a wave of demonic qi and dissipated in the air. He left just like that? Zhou Xuanji was stunned and quickly stored the God Emperor sword. Zhao Zongjian smiled and said, "This brat is sensible. Or else, he will surely die here." The little black snake snorted, "Didn't you boast about how powerful Huang Ming was?" The others heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that Huang Ming was no match for Zhou Xuanji. Xiao Jinghong exclaimed in admiration, "The God Emperor sword is indeed the sword of an emperor." "Oh right, Master, there are 6 pieces of geocentric flame iron below. You can have 2, and the 4 of us can have 1 each." In the team, other than Zhou Xuanji, there were only Xiao Jinghong, Beixiao Wangjian, Zhao Zongjian, and Huang Lianxin. Zhou Xuanji asked, "Is the geocentric iron good?" Before Xiao Jinghong could answer, Zhao Zongjian rushed to answer, "Of course it's great, it can forge magical equipment of level 5 and above." At this moment, Northern Valiant's sword also broke through the ground. After they landed, the 3-eyed drought rodent crawled out from his arms and quickly ran to Zhou Xuanji's feet. Northern Sword Valiant waved his right hand, and 6 long stones that were 2 feet long appeared in front of everyone. Earth Core Flame Iron. It looked like a long stone, but upon closer inspection, one would discover that its surface was suffused with a metallic luster. If an ordinary person saw this stone, they would probably ignore it. "Let's leave this place first," Zhou Xuanji nodded and said. He urgently needed to become stronger. Only by becoming stronger could he use the God Emperor sword as he pleased. In a valley deep within Jianghu wasteland, hundreds of thousands of evil cultivators gathered. Huang Ming sat on a giant rock. Demonic chi that looked like dragons and snakes coiled around his body. He opened his eyes slowly and said, God Emperor sword? No wonder it's the legendary sword that pulled the sword monarch down from his pedestal. Just when he finished speaking, a demonic shadow descended from the sky. It was exactly the same as him. This demonic shadow quickly entered his body. Before this, he used this demonic shadow to test Zhou Xuanji. Below him, a middle-aged man in a black robe asked, Revered teacher, when are we going to act? Hundreds of thousands of evil cultivators raised their heads in anticipation. Now that sword god Zhou was famous across the world, who did not want to kill him? If they could kill sword god Zhou, they might become famous across the world. Huang Ming muttered, let's wait a little longer. The sword monarch may look magnanimous, but he is intolerant. Only with sword god Zhou's death can he rebuild his reputation. Besides, sword god Zhou offended the empress. With the empress and Zhou Yalong's character, we can use sword god Zhou to lure the snake out of its hole. Compared to Zhou Xuanji, he wanted to kill Zhou Yalong more. Ta Qishue was Ta Tianqian's grandson. Their relationship was ordinary. He purposely spread the news to let the outside world think that he and sword god Zhou were irreconcilable, so as to lure Zhou Yalong out. Zhou Yalong was talented, but he did not have many achievements. If he could kill sword god Zhou, Zhou Yalong's position as the emperor would be secured. The evil cultivators heard him and could only suppress their excitement. More than a month later. Analyzed that the sword owner has reached 17 years old. Gotcha started. Ding. Congratulations, the sword owner obtained, gold, falling flowers, centenary golden embryo pill, for level 1 spirit stones. Zhou Xuanji, who was cultivating on a tree, opened his eyes. For level 1 spirit stones? Are you trying to get rid of a beggar? Zhou Xuanji was speechless. He took out falling flowers and wanted to see what this gold-grade legendary sword could do. Since the sword owner already has many legendary swords, I will now announce the higher grades of the legendary swords. Chapter 123. Announce the higher grades of legendary swords. Zhou Xuanji was looking forward to it and began waiting. The little black snake climbed up the tree trunk suddenly and flicked its forked tongue. There were 2 small bumps on its head, which made it look even more terrifying. Master, I have a request. It spoke seriously and kept its distance from Zhou Xuanji. At this distance, Zhou Xuanji should not be able to hit it with his sword. A sword suddenly appeared in Zhou Xuanji's hand. It was Heavenly Flower Shower, which scared the little black snake so much that it fled far away. He looked at the little black snake suspiciously before turning his attention back to Heavenly Flower Shower. The sword was golden in color and was engraved with many patterns. As the blade shook, it looked as though countless heavenly flowers were falling. 3 lines of words appeared before his eyes: sword name, Heavenly Flower Shower grade, gold description, Heavenly Flower Shower. The sword chi transforms into flowers. It is extremely confusing and can easily trap the enemy in an illusion. Not bad. Zhou Xuanji thought. Ever since he obtained the God Emperor sword, gold-grade legendary swords were no longer in his eyes. He asked in his heart, why is it not announced yet? Currently, the grades of legendary swords that can be announced, from bottom to top, are ordinary or iron, bronze, silver, gold, amethyst, glorious gold, heavenly soul, intimidating spirit, celestial shaking, god slaying, and Armageddon. As for the higher grades, the sword owner needs to become more powerful before he is qualified to know. Heavenly soul. Intimidating spirit. Celestial shaking. God slaying. Armageddon. All of them sounded so domineering. Zhou Xuanji blinked. He felt that he could travel freely in the mortal realm with just the glorious gold legendary swords. How horrifying would these grades be? God-slaying legendary swords. Could they really slay gods? Armageddon legendary swords that could destroy all living things in the world? The more he thought about it, the more excited he became. The supreme legendary sword system was indeed powerful. At this moment, an ear-piercing sound came. They were in a small forest. The trees here were tall, and there were small lakes in the forest. It was suitable for living. It was Zhao Zongjian. He flew into the forest on his sword and quickly ran to the tree where Zhou Xuanji was. "Master, the Empress is leaving Great Zhou," he said excitedly. With this, Zhou Xuanji looked at him, and so did the others. They came to Jianghu wasteland to attack the Empress. How could they not be excited after hearing this? Xiao Jinghong hurriedly asked, "Who's accompanying them?" The Empress of Great Zhou's power had always been a mystery. She was definitely powerful, but not as powerful as the Sword Monarch. Zhao Zongjian said, "First-class State General, Shitan Changshe." Shitan Changshe was a name that shook the entire Zhou dynasty. The war god of the Great Zhou dynasty. Back then, when the Great Zhou Empire was facing the threat of annihilation, he risked his life to fight the generals of the various empires and almost died. He forcefully held on until Emperor Yan of Zhou broke through to the Great Realization stage. After breaking through to the Great Realization stage, Emperor Yan of Zhou used his peerless and tyrannical strength to suppress everything and lead the Great Zhou Empire from the brink of destruction to prosperity. Shitan Changshe's achievements were unparalleled, and he had been promoted and taught by Emperor Yan of Zhou. Now, within the entire Great Zhou, his strength could be ranked in the top 5, and he was not any weaker than the Sword Monarch. Zhou Xuanji could only injure the Sword Monarch with the God Emperor sword, but he could not defeat him. Now that he was facing Shitan Changshe, who was on par with him, it would be extremely difficult for him to kill the Empress of the Great Zhou. Zhou Xuanji asked with squinted eyes, "When are they moving?" Zhao Zongjian muttered, "I'm not sure. They are still in preparation, but the plan is set. The news has been spread. I heard that the Empress will invite the demigods of the merciful Melody Cliff to Great Zhou to preach to the people. This is a joyous event for the entire Great Zhou." Zhou Xuanji frowned. If he were to stop this, wouldn't he become a sinner of Great Zhou? But he did not mind. After killing the Empress, he was going to leave. What's the shortest time? Zhou Xuanji continued to ask. It seemed that he had to seize the time and become more powerful. The shortest would be half a year. When they come out, it would be 8 months. Zhao Zongjian thought. Such a big event could not be prepared in a few days. They still had to prepare the gifts after all. Zhou Xuanji nodded and said to the group, "Did you hear that? Cultivate well. Don't slack off during this period of time. It will be a battle of life and death." "Yes." The group replied and left. Not far away, the little black snake mumbled, "Shitan Changshe. That's a ruthless person. He loves to eat dragons. I must be careful." On the tree, Zhou Xuanji took out the centennial golden embryo pill. According to the sword spirit's explanation, this was a divine medicine for tempering one's body. The golden embryo was formed by the astral infant after one's body reached its limit. He flipped his right hand, and a golden pill the size of a ping-pong ball appeared in his palm. Such a big one. I can't even swallow it. He forcefully broke it into half, put one half into his mouth, and began to swallow. In an instant, a stream of heat flowed down his throat and exploded instantly. He immediately activated the inner energy technique of Sword Qi Golden Body Incantation to absorb the spiritual qi from the heavens and the earth. Whoosh, waves of spiritual qi flowed into his body, and the leaves on the tree swayed continuously. Soon, countless fallen leaves danced down, and the scene was beautiful. Jiang Shui, who was cultivating her spell, looked back and saw Zhou Xuanji concentrating on his cultivation. He looked like a powerful cultivator. She breathed a sigh of relief and began to move her hands to continue cultivating lightning spells. Now, she had already learned spells of all 5 elements and began to learn spells of other elements. This was arranged by Zhou Xuanji. Mastering spells of different attributes would come in handy in any difficult and dangerous environment in the future. Jiang Shui was looking forward to it. She wanted to become the most powerful support. Half a day later. Boom! Zhou Xuanji broke through to inner pellet level 8, and the surface of his body turned golden. He looked like a golden man, and the white dragon golden robe on his body fluttered continuously. Everyone turned to look at him. Golden invincible. Great accomplishment in physical cultivation. Han Shenhua mumbled to himself, and he looked a little dazed. Dual cultivation of energy and physique. It seemed that it would be difficult for him to escape from Zhou Xuanji. That's right. Zhou Xuanji had already broken through to level 4 of Sword Qi Golden Body Incantation, Golden Invincible. His physical strength had already reached an extremely horrifying level. According to his estimation, he had at least the strength of 1,000 bulls. The strength of 1,000 bulls was equivalent to the strength of 10,000 people. In the northern wilderness region, the strength of 10 people was equivalent to the strength of a bull. The most important thing was his physical defense. It was already a piece of cake for him to be impervious to weapons. At the same time, his spirit energy grew tremendously, and the power of his sword qi doubled. He opened his eyes suddenly, and 2 streams of sword qi shot out from his eyes. Boom! Boom! The 2 streams of sword qi smashed into the grass and created 2 small holes. Grass flew everywhere. The group opened their eyes wide. Xiao Jinghong breathed rapidly and said, "Sword qi emitted from the eyes is more powerful than spitting sword qi from the mouth." Zhou Xuanji got up slowly and jumped to the ground. His legs crushed the ground, and he landed on the ground like a giant elephant. "All of you, push me together. See if you can move me." Zhou Xuanji raised his brow. Having heard him, Xiao Jinghong, Han Shenhua, Zhao Zongjian, and Beishao Wangjian walked up excitedly. Chapter 124. Zhou Xuanji opened up his arms. No matter how hard Xiao Jinghong, Beishao Wangjian, Zhao Zongjian, and Han Shenhua pushed, he could not move at all. "Did you guys not eat?" he said proudly. The 4 heard him and immediately became anxious. They channeled their spirit energy and pushed Zhou Xuanji back a meter. Then, they stopped. The 4 pushed until their faces were red, but they could not move Zhou Xuanji. Finally, they gave up and could only sigh. Zhao Zongjian said hesitantly, "Should we train our physique too?" Xiao Jinghong shook his head. He was only focused on the sword. Beishao Wangjian had trained in physique cultivation before, so he knew that he was not talented enough. Han Shenhua sighed, "Physique training is extremely difficult. It will take up a lot of time for us to improve our cultivation." The golden glow on Zhou Xuanji's body receded. He smiled and said, "Seems like we need a tank." "What's a tank?" Han Shenhua asked curiously. At this moment, Jiang Shui and Huang Lianxin walked over. Jiang Shui said with a smile, "A tank is someone with high defense and high HP. He's responsible for blocking most of the enemy's attacks." Xuanji said before that a perfect team needs assassins, warriors, tanks, archers, sorcerers, and support. You should all know about assassins. They are existences that can assassinate the enemy in one strike. Warriors are the main battle force. Xiao Jinghong and Zhao Zongjian are like warriors now. I'm like a sorcerer and support. For archers, you sword cultivators can be them too. It's a long-range attack anyway. Looking at Jiang Shui's eloquent explanation, Zhou Xuanji wanted to laugh. He could not help but think back to his previous life. He could no longer play those games, so he could only cultivate. Xiao Jinghong rubbed his chin and muttered, "Meng Tianlang is suitable to be a tank. If that guy is here, we can nurture him." He could not forget his old lover. Huang Lianxin tilted her head and thought, "If that's the case, we really should find an archer. Using sword qi from a distance is still too slow." Zhou Xuanji smiled, "If it's a tank, it's easier." He looked at the little black snake, who was rolling on the ground not far away, and said, "From today onwards, everyone beat Little Black up to train its defense." When the little black snake heard this, it hurriedly arched its body like a rubber band. It shouted, "Why should I do that? I'm not convinced. How can I be a tank when I'm so small? I can't block the attacks for you at all." Zhou Xuanji ignored him and said, Big and small air have potential too. The demon race is most suited to be tanks. Everyone, nurture them well in the future." Everyone nodded. They chatted for a while more before disbanding and continuing to cultivate. After breaking through to golden invincibility, although Zhou Xuanji's power had increased tremendously, it was still not enough. How powerful was Shitan Changsha? He had to work harder. 5 months later, Zhou Xuanji broke through to inner pellet level 9 and was one step closer to Soul Fountain. Breaking through to the Spirit Spring stage at the age of 18, if this news were to spread, it would definitely shock the world. In these 5 months, they encountered enemies from time to time. The bounty on Xinhao Sect's head was still up, but the devil cultivators of Xinhao Sect never came. Zhou Xuanji and the others sent people to fight according to the strength of their enemies to train their battle awareness. Even Jianghu had participated in the battle. All in all, everyone was becoming stronger. This day, Zhao Zongjian came back after getting some information. "Master, Zhou Yalong returned to the capital. The Empress might be delayed for another month. But the time has been confirmed. She will move out in at most 4 months. She will be accompanied by 100 elite royal guards. The weakest of them is at Astral Infant." Zhao Zongjian cupped his fist and said to Zhou Xuanji, who was internalizing qi on the tree. Zhou Xuanji nodded and said, "Take a rest." Zhao Zongjian turned around and left. He was very excited, as though he could not wait for the battle to begin. If they succeeded in killing the Empress, how earth-shattering would that be? At this moment, thunderclouds gathered. A ball of demonic qi flew toward him quickly. Zhou Xuanji opened his eyes, and the others were on their guard. This aura, Xinhao Sect, Huang Ming. The demonic qi stopped above the forest and gathered into Huang Ming's appearance. He looked down at Zhou Xuanji and said, "Sword God Zhou, let's work together to kill the Empress." "How about that?" Having heard him, Zhou Xuanji squinted his eyes and asked, "You want to take revenge on Zhou Yalong?" Huang Ming said expressionlessly, "Zhou Yalong slaughtered my clansman, so I killed his mother. It's karma. Let's see if he feels bad." Xiao Jinghong, Zhao Zongjian, and the others gathered together and looked at him warily. "Of course, but the Empress has to be killed by me," Zhou Xuanji said calmly. If Huang Ming could hold Shitan Changsha back, the pressure on him would be even smaller. Huang Ming nodded and said, "This matter is only against the Empress. After this, we will leave and rest for a while before we fight again." "How about that?" Xinhao Sect's mission was still there, so he had to deal with Zhou Xuanji, of course. Zhou Xuanji was surprised in his heart. This guy is so principled. He did not trust Huang Ming completely. How could someone from an evil sect believe a one-sided statement? "Before we act, I will send someone to inform you." After he said this, Huang Ming left, and the thunderclouds in the sky dispersed. Xiao Jinghong walked under the tree and reminded, "Revered teacher, we have to take precautions against this." Han Shenhua said, "Huang Ming has a good reputation. I rarely heard of him doing despicable things. He is a man of his word and never breaks his promise." The others followed suit and expressed their opinions. Zhou Xuanji sat on the tree and looked toward the horizon. "When the time comes, just keep an eye out," he said. "The Empress of Great Zhou. Your retribution is coming. Are you ready?" 4.5 months later, Zhou Xuanji broke through to inner pellet level 10. A Xinhao Sect's evil cultivator came to the forest and shouted, "Sword God Zhou, my master is asking for your help. The target is coming out from his isolated cultivation." He looked a little nervous. He had heard of Sword God Zhou's fame after all. He could even injure the Sword Monarch of Great Zhou. With such power, he was not weaker than Huang Ming. Soon, Zhou Xuanji, Jiang Shui, Xiao Jinghong, Zhao Zongjian, Han Shenhua, Bei Xiao Wangjian, Huang Lianxin, Little Black, and a big and small heir walked out from the forest. Lead the way. Zhou Xuanji, who was walking in the middle of the group, said calmly. Having heard him, the evil cultivator immediately turned around and walked ahead. At the same time, within the borders of Great Zhou, at the border of a kingdom, a group of carriages was moving ahead. 100 armored royal guards of Great Zhou rode on fierce-looking horses. At the front was the first-rank state general, Shitan Changshe. Shitan Changshe was tall and muscular. He wore a suit of golden armor and had a resolute face. There were 2 parallel scars on his cheeks, which looked like 2 centipedes. He wore a golden crown with 2 phoenix wings on his head. He held the reins and looked ahead expressionlessly. General, this trip to Merciful Melody Cliff will be filled with danger. A royal guard beside him said with a tinge of worry on his face. What are you afraid of? With me around, whoever dares to come will die. Shitan Changshe said expressionlessly. He paused and continued, moreover, a ruthless guy is waiting for us at the end of Juama Wasteland. With his protection, even if Ta Tianchen comes personally, he will not be able to do anything to us.